What's going on, Fin fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm here to talk a little bit about the defensive coordinator situation. Since there's some pretty big news that broke today about that. Before I do, though, I just want to kind of reiterate that, obviously right now I'm not making a ton of content because although at least in this case, it's actually for a good reason, as opposed to in the past. But the good reason being that I actually have, a job that I just recently got that's been taking up a lot of my time. So, this is for now going to be mostly just a side project. And I'm just going to really do videos when it comes to during the off season, at least this off season, while I'm still, settling into this new job and settling out my life and getting my life stabilized. I'm not going to do a ton of content over the course of this off season. I do hope and plan to ramp that up again, though. Obviously, when we get to next season and then going forward, hopefully, because my life will be a lot more stable and I'll be good to go by then. But anyway, just wanted to let you guys know and just to kind of reiterate, and for those who, maybe have been wondering why I haven't been making content, if there's anybody out there that is wondering that, that's the reason. And even when it comes to, this defensive coordinator search, normal and under normal circumstances, or, if I was, let's say, I guess if I was doing this full time, obviously I would have made videos about the search and the candidates and so on and so forth. But I am going to talk a little bit about all the different candidates, at least so far as just to kind of mention, who they interviewed, and then I'll get into the guy that they actually hired. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Slide me over here. All right, so the Miami Dolphins, as of February 2024, they did hire somebody today. We'll get into that in just a moment, but it looks like, and this is just obviously some stuff I found on Google, but it looked like there was 8 candidates that were interviewed. I was going to say identified, but there were 8 candidates, including, so you have 6 of them here. You have Anthony Campanile, who obviously was linebackers coach for the Dolphins, an in-house candidate. And hopefully he stays our linebackers coach. I haven't really heard anything about that. So hopefully he stays the linebackers coach because I do like him. But anyway, Anthony Campanile, Ryan Slowick, Leslie Frazier, who I actually had him on my short list of potential head coach candidates back before we got Mike McDaniel. He wasn't at the top of my list. And Mike McDaniel was the number 1 candidate. He was actually only one of 2 candidates. Him and Brian Daboll were the only 2 candidates that I had on my list that were first-time head coaches, and McDaniel was top out of those 2. But Leslie Frazier, I mean, he would definitely be a good choice for, I think a good choice for defensive coordinator. He's got tons of experience. He's been a, head coach before. Obviously, that's not who we chose, but anyway, a good guy to bring in, though. So out of the pool of guys that they brought in, you like to see a guy like that in there too. Chris Kiffin, linebackers coach for the Texans. Ryan Slowick, obviously outside linebackers coach. Anthony Weaver, Baltimore Ravens assistant head coach and defensive line coach. Brandon Staley was obviously just fired from the Chargers. I know a lot of people were like, yeah, he could be a good defensive coordinator, though, even though he sucked as the head coach. Yeah, but I'm good. Also, too, there was Chris Shula and Bobby Babich, who were not listed up here, but those were the other guys. Obviously, Chris Shula is the grandson of Don Shula. So there is that. But I mean, obviously, some in-house guys and then some, old heads and whatnot. Anthony Weaver, obviously. So we can go ahead and move over to that now, because the news from today is that Anthony Weaver is going to be the Miami Dolphins' new defensive coordinator. So a little bit about him from Marcel Louis-Jacques at ESPN. Dolphins hired Anthony Weaver as their new defensive coordinator, the team announced Saturday, ending a 10-day coaching search. Weaver most recently served as the defensive line coach and associate head coach for the Baltimore Ravens, where he'd been since 2021. The former second-round pick played for the Ravens and Texans during his 7-year NFL career. The Dolphins hired Vic Fangio last year after firing Josh Boyer, but parted ways with Fangio this offseason. He joined the Philadelphia Eagles staff soon after. Obviously, I mean, if you saw the different reports and stuff, Fangio obviously apparently didn't really want to be here from the beginning, but you know, it was a lot of money and it was a good spot and blah blah blah, so he took it. But where he really wanted to go, although the job wasn't available and it didn't work out or for whatever reason with the Eagles last year, but that's where his family is and all that good stuff, where he wants to be. Whatever, it is what it is. Honestly, you know, and there's lots of talk about, you know, the players. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, maybe some of that stuff's true about Fangio and the players. I mean, he is an old coach, you know, so it is definitely possible that, you know, similar to, you know, a lot of these other old coaches that we've seen recently have issues, you know, because they like to be kind of stuck in their old ways. It looks like maybe that was part of a factor, or part of the factor in why he didn't stay. I don't know, whatever. At the end of the day, as long as they make the necessary corrections, adjustments, they get the right guy in the building, and they don't let this stop the momentum of where the regime and where this organization is going. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's like I said, I think in my last video, he's going to give you a top 10 defense no matter what. And he's got tons of experience. He knows the job. He knows what he's doing, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe he's not perfect for this Miami Dolphins organization with where we are right now, and that's fine. But here's the thing. Over the past couple decades, part of the problem is even when we found good pieces, we could end up, whether it's players or coaches, ultimately we could never end up keeping them, because even if we started to see progress, that progress either came to a screeching halt and or started going backwards because of other issues within the organization. At this point, and I've said this a bunch recently, and you guys, if you know my perspectives in the past, I've given Stephen Ross a ton of grief only for his football decisions, not for his, community service, not for building the stadium and the training facility. All that's wonderful. It was always his football decisions, particularly the people that he hired to run this organization, that I've always taken, didn't like, let's say, whatever. Take an exception to. There we go. That's what I was trying to say. But I actually think he got it right this time with Mike McDaniel, right? And look, we were 9-8. We were 11-6 this year. 9-8 his first season, 11-6 this year, back-to-back playoffs. You know, we were challenging for the division and the number one seed. Again, if you know my perspectives, I actually think at least the division was lost because the refs and the officiating are absolute trash and garbage, and they favor certain teams and players. And, you know, there's plenty of evidence in those games to prove it. But anyway, I digress. My point, though, is still there's progress made. And, you know, even though I know a lot of Dolphins fans, even if they may disagree with the reasoning why, we're all disappointed that, you know, we didn't win the division and we didn't go farther in the playoffs and we lost in the first round. We're all disappointed by that. But I still take the entire picture and I say, look, man, we're still making progress and we're still going forward. Now, look, my expectations going into this season, and even after the hot start we had, still didn't raise to the level that most people had, right? And that's why I still think that this season was a success, whereas a lot of Dolphins fans seem to think that it was a failure because we ended up losing the division at the end and lost in the first round. I don't, because I still think, because first of all, there's a lot more to the situation than just that, right? If all you said was, if the only story, narrative, context, and data from this season was we lost the division in week 18 and lost in the first round of the playoffs, and if there's literally no other data besides that, okay, fine, you can be as disappointed as you want. But at the end of the day, there's still a lot more to it. Tua made progress. The offense made progress. This team made progress. We got breakouts like Devon Achane and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's still so much to be happy and excited for and optimistic about. And it's tangible. It's real. The culture that Mike McDaniel has instilled in this locker room and in this organization, it is light years better than what we've had over the past couple decades by far, right? So there's still so much good to lean our hats on. All right, anyway, rounding it back into the here and now, the point of all of that and that little tangent I just went on is because all I want to know and make sure of is that we're not going to take a step backwards, or at least not a huge step backwards because of this, right? Look, at the end of the day, if, I think we ended the season like the number 9th overall ranked defense or something like that. I'm pretty sure it was still top 10. I think it was like 8 or 9, something like that. Anyway, point is, if next season we end up having a defense that's like 11th or 12th at the end of the year, I'm not going to be all that mad because, again, I mean, look, this Weaver guy, it's going to be his first time. He's going to have to build chemistry within his locker room and with his players, learn how to use them and all that good stuff, right? They're going to have to go through the draft this upcoming year. And, again, Vic Fangio, he's going to give you a top 10 defense. He's got the experience, and at least it would have been year 2 under Fangio if he would have stayed, so there would have been continuity. Now, you're guaranteed that you're not going to have a guy that's going to guarantee you a top 10. Maybe Weaver will give us a top 10. The thing is we just don't know yet because he hasn't done it yet. Fangio is proven, and he did it again this year, right? So you know that. You don't know that about Weaver, so there's an unknown. Right? There's a mystery there. Anyway, I just want to make sure that it doesn't stop the progress because like a lot of Dolphins fans, and part of the reason why they're so disappointed after this season is because they're like, oh no, now our window's gone. But here's the thing, and I've said this for years, and it's where I base a lot of my philosophies in, and it's where I determine whether or not I'm optimistic about this team or pessimistic about this team. It's a lot of the intangible stuff, the fundamental stuff, the core things, the culture, how do they go about free agency and the draft, right? And I think finally they got the right pieces and people in place. And I like the things that they're building within this organization. I absolutely love the culture in Mike McDaniel. Does he still have to grow and learn? Absolutely. But what I know a lot of Dolphins fans and a lot of fans in general are like, I would sell my soul to get a championship this year. And if we never had another one for the next 20 years, I'd be fine with it because at least we had one this year. I'm sorry, but that's not what I want. I want sustained success. I want to be in the playoffs every year. I want to be competing for the division and the AFC championship every year. I want to be in the Super Bowl regularly, right? Like the Chiefs or the Patriots or blah, 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 whoever. You feel me? I want to be up there competing every year, year in and year out. Now look, the Patriots are proof. You can only do it but so long because eventually, guys like Brady and Belichick are going to get old and, even the greatest empires fall eventually, right? So you're not going to have a dynasty forever. That's just not how it works. But sure, we could have one for 5, 10 years, 15 years. And a dynasty doesn't mean you're in the Super Bowl every single year. But it means you're like the Patriots who are competing every single year and winning your division 19 years in a row and, blah, blah, blah. Or the Chiefs nowadays, right? So I want sustained success. And I don't want to have a sell my soul type of situation where, we get all the pieces right this year and we win a championship, but then we fall off the face of the earth next year and have another 20, 30 years of shit. I don't want that. I'm sorry. I'm not that kind of fan. I will take, making it to the Super Bowl 4 or 5 times over the next 10 years and winning 1 or 2 of them over winning one now and being shit for the next 20 years. 100%. Every day of the week. Anyway, you get the idea. So, you get the picture. That's how I feel about it. Let's go ahead and finish this because I actually think, I'm going to have to be busting up out of here. But anyway, Dolphins released a statement. He has been a proven resume of success, built his personal investment on his players. Most importantly, he shares our belief that player development is the cornerstone to both team building and sustained excellence. Weaver has coached in the NFL since 2012, mainly as defensive line coach. with the Jets, Bills, Texans, and Ravens. So he's got some experience, obviously, and they go into talking about, players that are going to have to be re-signed and dealt with and stuff. But anyway, I'm liking it. I think it's a solid signing. Like I said, I didn't want Brandon Staley, so I'm good with that. I would have been fine with like a Leslie Frazier or an Anthony Campanile. But I like it. I think it's good. Also, he's coming from the Ravens, and I love that. Plus, there are rumors that Roquan Smith could come with him. Anyway, Patrick Queen. Is it Patrick Queen? No, I think it's Patrick Queen, actually. Anyway, I would love one of those guys. Either one of them. Anyway, you get the idea. Lovely stuff. I think it's great. I'll be back soon. I am going to bust up out of here. So I appreciate you guys. If you like my content, make sure you hit the like button, the subscribe button, leave the comments, questions, and concerns down in the comment section. Just be respectful. And yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Fins up all day, every day. Let's rock this shit into next year.
7 seconds left. Tannehill will throw it. And this will end it after the shuttle. Miami rolls around, circling, and the down. Gronkowski did not mean to go. Touchdown. Can you pray? A miracle. Miraculous in Miami. Stills to Parker to Drake. And they held off the field. Unimaginable what has taken place here in South Florida. The Dolphins have done it. They keep their season alive. 69 yards. Wow. Pure joy. Miami wins it.